Welcome to Algebra 2. This is Chapter 7.1, Exploring Exponential Models. An exponential function has the form of y equals a times b to the power x. B has to be greater than 0, but cannot be equal to 1. If b is greater than 1, then we have an exponential growth, and your graph is going to grow exponentially, obviously. If b is between 0 and 1, then we have a decay. So it's going to decay exponentially. Got it, number 1, we're going to look at a variety of graphs from these functions. What we're going to do first is make an XY t-chart and plug in some values. So I'm going to use -2, 0, and 2 for our x values. So plug it into your equation. So 4 to the -2 power is 1 over 16. 4 to the 0 power is 1. And 4 to the second power is 16. So let's graph that. So we have -2 and 1 and 16, so very low. 0, 1, and 2, 16. So it's going to go off the chart quite a bit. We'll just make it go there. That sounds about right. So that's sort of what your graph looks like. In part B, we have 1/3 to the x power. So again, we're going to plug in -2, 0, and 2. We have -1/3, or I'm sorry, if we have 1/3 to the -2nd power, we flip the fraction inside and it now becomes to the +2 power, which is 9. 1/3 to the 0 power is 1, and 1/3 to the second power, you square both the top and the bottom, so it's 1/9. So let's graph that. We have -2, 9, 0, 1, and 2, 1/9. Okay, I'm struggling, but as you can see, your graph is decaying. It's starting high and dropping low. So we have -2, 9. Whatever, try your best and forget the rest. And last graph that we have is 2 times x to the 3rd power. So again, I'm going to use -2, 0, and 2. 2 times 3 to the -2 power. That's 2 times 1 over 9, which is 2/9. 2 times 3 to the 0 power. 3 to the 0 power is 1, times 2 is 2. And 2 times 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. So let's plot our points. So as you can see, the ones where our b value was greater than 1, so for example 4 and 3, we had exponential growth. When it was between 0 and 1, so 1/3, we have exponential decay. Part D, we want to talk about domain, range, and y-intercepts. Domain for exponential functions is all real numbers. Your range, however, is y is greater than or equal, just greater than 0. And for your y-intercept, it'll always be 0 and whatever your a value is. So in our first two, we didn't have an a value. Well, it wasn't there. It wasn't written. So when there isn't one, it's assumed that the a value is 1. In part C, we did have an a value. Our a value was 2. And if you look at our graph, our y-intercept was at 0, 2. So again, domain is all real numbers. Range, y is greater than 0, and y-intercept is 0, a. One more definition that you need to know about exponential growth or decay is called an asymptote. An asymptote is a line that a graph approaches but never touches. So our asymptote is the x-axis, or y equals 0. So our exponential growth model or decay model will approach that x-axis, but it'll never cross or touch that axis. All right, part 2, we want to identify each function as growth or decay, and then we need to find the y-intercept. So we have 3 times 4 to the power x. Because our b value is greater than 1, we have growth. And our a value is equal to 3, so our y-intercept is 0, 3. And the second one, our b value is between 0 and 1. It's 0.75, so that means we have decay. Our a value is equal to 11, which means our y-intercept is 0, 11. In C, we have $2,000 that we put into a bank account, and the account pays 6% interest annually. Well, if we are getting paid, then our money is obviously increasing, so we're going to have a growth of money, and our y-intercept is going to be our starting point for our bank account, and we put $2,000 into it, so our starting point or our y-intercept is 0, 2,000. Now you're going to have to model a growth or decay, an exponential growth or decay based on real-world examples. So most of the time we use money to deal with this. You want your money to grow exponentially in a bank account or a savings account or an investment or whatever. So most of the time we're going to use this idea that when we put money into a bank account, we are starting with an initial amount. We're going to have a rate of growth or decay, and our exponent is going to be the number of time periods that occur that your money is going to grow by. So this is your basic equation. We're also going to use this equation. It's the same exact one, except I'm going to make this simpler on you. If we have decay, you are going to subtract your rate of change from 1. If we have growth, you're going to add it to 1. So let's do our first real-world example. Suppose you have $500 invested in a savings account. It pays 3.5% annual interest. How much is going to be in there after 5 years? So first thing we need to do is figure out if we have growth or decay. Well, if we're investing it and it's paying us, then we have growth. So we're going to use 1 plus r to the t power. So let's find our a value. Our a value is the starting amount for our bank account. Well, we're investing $500, so we're going to start with $500. Our rate of change, it's paying 3.5%. 3.5% as a decimal is 0.035. And we want to know how much is in there after 5 years. So after 5 time periods, we want to know how much is in our bank account. So let's set up our equation. We have 500, parentheses, 1 plus 0.035 is 1.035 to the 5th power. Plug that into your calculator, and you get an amount of $593.84. In number 4, says suppose you invest $500 into a bank account that pays 3.5% annual interest. So this is the same situation that we had in example 3. So same equation, 500, parentheses 1.035 to the t power. because we want to know when the account will contain at least $650. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our calculator to graph. We're going to graph this first function in y equals 1, or y1, and we are going to graph 650 in our second point. Where they intersect is going to be your answer. All right, so go to y equals and clear out whatever information is in there and plug in your equation. So we have 500 parentheses 1.035 parentheses to the x power, and then set your other one equal to 650. Let's change our window so that we can see 650. Let's see, we can keep our x the way it is. Let's change our y so that we have, let's go up to 1,000. Whoa, not 10,000, 1,000. And we'll count by tens. No, we'll count by hundreds, just kidding. All right, and graph. So here's our first equation, 500 times 1.035 to the t power growing exponentially. There's our second equation of 650. To find when our bank account is going to have $650, we need to find this intersection. So go to second trace. Number 5 says intersect. Move your cursor until you're close to the intersection. Press enter. It'll skip to the next one. Press enter again. Press enter again. And the answer is about 7.62, 7.63 years. So about 7.6 years. Oh, but I want to point something out that I just realized. It's annual interest, which means you only gain that interest every year. So like after year 1, that's when you gain the interest, year 2, year 3. So we're not going to gain the interest at 0.6 years. So we will actually gain that money after 8 years. We need to round to the wholest. That's not a real world. We need to round to the nearest year. In some situations, you aren't going to be given the rate of change. You need to find it yourself. So in problem 5, we're given a table of population. So we have 2 amounts, one from 2003 and one from 2004, about the population of the Iberian lynx. So we know our starting amount of our population, so we know our A value. However, we're not given our rate of change. We're not given our R value. So that's when you're going to use this equation where R equals y2 minus y1 all divided by y1. So our y2 is 120 minus y1, which is 150, all divided by y1, which is 150. 120 minus 150 is negative 30. Divided by 150, you get an R value of negative 0.20. So let's plug that into our equation. So we have decay, so we're going to use A, 1 minus R to the t power. Our initial amount for our population is 150. 1 minus 0.20 to the power t. That works out to be 150 times 0.80 to the power t. Now we want to find the Iberian lynx population in 2014. What we're going to do is figure out how much time has passed from our starting point to 2014. So 2014 minus 2003 is 11. So plug in 11 for t and plug that into your calculator. We plug that into our calculator and you get 12.88, and we're going to round to the nearest whole number because we're dealing with a population of animals. So we'll say about 13 lynx.